Hey guys, I'm Meteorologist Chris Tomer. Let's talk some mountain weather, and heavy snow is underway in the Sierra. As expected, this storm hammering that area. A bit of atmospheric river contribution, a powerful jet stream, good orographics, and colder air swooping in. There's radar, and it is it's coming down hard with this type of flow pattern, just nailing the Sierra orthogonally. And the blue box is actually a mesoscale discussion that came out just talking about this heavy snow potential, some of the ingredients coming together. I mean, we're talking feet of snow on the way for the Sierra all the way down into Mammoth. I'll show you what those numbers look like, in my opinion, coming up here in just a few minutes. But here are my headlines with this. It's a two-storm combo. The one you see now is nailing California, and then eventually that will spread through Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Utah, Colorado with big totals. And then the second storm, there's another one behind it, will do the same kind of routine. And, I think we're talking about feet of grand totals in the forecast. So we'll do some of that addition, add up the numbers, and see where we're at through 12/7 coming up. There's going to be a lot of wind as well. That's part of my forecast with this. And here's a live camera. This is up at Kirkwood. It's coming down. You can see that there. Awesome to see. Love seeing this kind of snow, especially in the Sierra where they need it. So that's what's happening right now in Kirkwood. All right, here's the setup. Infrared satellite, 3 different lows, but the first 2 are the most important, and there is contribution from the southern branch of the jet as well. So you've got both branches. They're merging right here, and they're escorting in all this moisture. That's why there is some atmospheric river contribution. And again, the flow is orthogonal to the range, so we got that. We got colder air coming in. So all this is just a good setup for California this time around. The second low, again, will follow that path and do many of the same things across the west. Let me show you this. So I actually just published this on christomer.com. Please subscribe if you haven't. I really appreciate everyone who has, and there has been a lot of people recently subscribing to this. Snow forecast next 8 days. There are my bullet points. I talk about the jet, the setup. I look down the road actually as well in this. So here's the forecast pattern. I'm going to show you this high res. All right, so here is 12/2. So tomorrow, this is what the pattern looks like. You've got the main storm following the jet, being escorted basically into Wyoming. That sets up heavy snow through Wyoming and Idaho, Utah, and Colorado, especially the central and northern mountains of Colorado. It'll be very windy across Wyoming, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico tomorrow as this slides through with all of that jet energy. The second low, you can see it dropping in with the jet. It's got its own streak with it. Here we go with, this is 12/7, so the end of this storm cycle. It's still active on 12/7, but it's not quite the same. There's a splitting of the jet, but there's still a contribution from the southern branch, as you can see there. That low out of the Pacific, that'll have to be watched for a little later in the period, 12/8, 12/9, 12/10-ish. But that's the way it looks at 12/7. Here's even further down the road. This is 12/10. So that low that's over the Pacific now becomes a low that tracks through Utah and the Four Corners essentially by 12/10. So that is something to watch down the road. It's a whole separate piece, but it just suggests that this active pattern may continue through 12/10. Let's go back to the blog here. And I talked about the wind. The wind forecast with this is going to be significant on 12/2. Look at just a few locations here. In Colorado, Capitol Peak will have gusts to 70 on Friday the 2nd. Long's Peak, gusts to 60 today and tomorrow, and it's still gusty on Friday or on Saturday on Longs. Kings Peak, the windiest day is today, a little less wind tomorrow. Wheeler Peak, the biggest gusts come on 12/2 on Friday, 65-mile-an-hour gusts. So this is bringing a lot of jet energy with it as well. All right, let's talk about forecast timing with this. Just make sure we're on the right. Yep, we're good. Here's the timing. So future radar satellite, there goes our California storm tracking through Utah, Wyoming, Colorado. And then by the 3rd and the 4th, next storm drops south, nails California and the Sierra, and then becomes another storm that kind of runs through the Intermountain West there. And that's it through 12/6. And there's a little bit of snow over the northern tier Rockies on the 6th right there. Let me run that one more time. So there goes our storm. into the interior, and then by 12:3, 12:4, a new storm drops into California, begins to snow hard through the interior, and then it moves all the way through, and that's it. By 12:6, all we're left with is some energy into the northern tier of the Rockies at that point. All right, so let's go and look at forecast totals here. Here's what I'm thinking. So this is the first period. Obviously, big snow coming down in California. I think through the 3rd. This is all first through the 3rd of December. You know, you're looking at 37 in Heavenly and probably 44 in Mammoth. And then there's going to be more after that. With this, the second storm will also bring its own batch of snow, and I'll show you that. But in the Utah, the Wasatch front right there, I'm looking at probably 2 feet with this storm. Obviously less in Park City, and probably 20 inches in Jackson Hole, Grand Targhee, and the Tetons. In Colorado, most of the accumulation comes in the central and northern mountains with this storm number 1. In Idaho, my numbers for Sun Valley and Brundage are a little bit low. They're definitely on the low side. They could be as high as 10 to 15 on the high side. Just wanted to throw that out there. So it's possible that Sun Valley gets closer to a foot. We'll see how it all plays out. So that's the first storm. All right, so here is the second storm. This is the 4th through the 7th. So storm number 2 drops another 17 at Heavenly, another 13 at Mammoth, and drops another 6 to 8 at Sun Valley and Brundage. In the Wasatch, we're looking at another 2 feet at Alta. So 2 feet out of the first, 2 feet out of the second. I'm thinking grand totals of 3 to 4 feet for Little Cottonwood Canyon as a 2-storm combo. Heavenly grand totals, you've got 37 plus 17, so 54 inch totals there. In Colorado, we had, I'll just show you. This was the first period. The central and northern mountains went 5 to 10, and the second period they go 4 to 10. So, you know, it's anywhere from, 8 to 20 inches, basically. So that's a pretty good amount between both storm systems, less in the southern mountains. Okay, so the Tetons. The first period, 20 inches. Second period is 17 at Jackson Hole. So we're looking at 37 inches. So that's 3 feet. Again, we're measuring in feet between these 2 storms. That's some really, really good totals. And then, of course, I showed you down the road, there's going to be some additional snow as well. It may not be as much as this, but there'll be some more down the road. So there you go, guys. Always appreciate you tuning in here. Take care until the next update.